Welcome back to JoyNews Prime. Now, Roland Agambre's RLG Communications is challenging claims by the Environment, Science and Technology Minister that it owes government over 6 million cedis for breaching a contract to supply and distribute laptops. According to letters written by the companies, some of which were cited by members of the Parliament's Accounts Committee, RLG insists it has honored its obligation to government. The new twist comes as after Environment, Science and Technology Minister Professor Frimpong Boateng had told MPs that officials of the company had agreed to refund the amount. Now, Joseph Opoku-Gakpo has joined me in the studio with more on this. Hello, Joseph. First, give us a background to the story. How did RLG secure this contract to supply the laptops?
So from what we've come to understand, sometime in 2010, the Ministry of Environment, Science and Technology took a decision that they would want to apply part of the budgetary allocation that had gotten to them to a project to make laptops and its accessories available to students and others. And so they got into a collaboration with Get Fund, and then the decision was taken that they would be supplying these laptops. And, you know, again, the other side of it was that a decision was taken that they needed indigenous Ghanaian companies to produce these laptops, right. And that was a specific agreement that was taken in that regard, that they don't use Ghanaian companies.
So what was in this contract? What were they supposed to supply? How much did they supply, and what didn't they supply?
According to the Auditor General's reports from 2015, the contract required that they were supposed to produce and distribute, not just produce, but get it out there to the various schools and get it to the students. 103,000 pieces of laptops at a cost of 51.257 million cedis. Now, according to the Auditor General's report, out of the 103,000 laptops that they were supposed to produce and distribute, they ended up distributing only 90,448 pieces. And so an amount of 12,733 pieces were left unproduced and undistributed. And when a figure was given to that in terms of how much it cost, it amounted to 6.366 million cedis.
Okay.
And so, well, according to the Auditor General's report, they asked RLG about how come these computers were not supplied, and they said that the ministry did not request that they produced the remaining 112,000, although they had paid them money for that earlier, to the tune of 51 million cedis, and that eventually the Auditor General made a recommendation that RLG should either be made to supply the 12,733 pieces, or they should be made to refund the 6.3 million cedis.
Okay, and that's where Professor Kwabena Frimpong Boateng comes in. He says, or he told the Parliament's Public Accounts Committee that he had actually engaged the officials of RLG, and they had agreed that they were going to pay, they owed that amount, 6.3, and that they were going to pay that
yes,
amount.
That was the explanation that he gave, that when they came to office back in January, early January, an official letter went to officials of RLG from the ministry indicating that this amount was actually owed. And so then the engagement began, and that he had spoken to officials and they had agreed to pay. Well, members of the committee put it to him as to whether a document has been signed to that effect,
right,
what the terms of repayment would be, the duration it would take, and he indicated that there is nothing like that yet. It was just an informal agreement between himself and officials of RLG. But then there was an interesting twist. Members of PAC, the Parliament's Public Accounts Committee, quoted letters that had been exchanged between RLG Group and also the Ministry of Environment, Science and Technology. And Professor Frimpong Boateng actually confirmed, the content of some of those letters. And in those letters, RLG was challenging the claim that they owed government any money. Professor Frimpong Boateng gave some additional details when they met earlier today at the PAC sitting.
Mr. Chairman, from the response of your ministry, I've read it, and I've read a correspondence from RLG, the supplier of the computers, to the fact that on the 28th of April 2015, the then minister wrote to RLG to supply it with a higher specification of laptops. May I know what agreement went on between the ministry and the company with regards to the cost of the higher specification laptops, and then the original ones that they were supposed to have supplied, and they supplied less?
Mr. Chairman, we have gone through the documents and we have not come across any definitive agreement on the higher specifications. There are certain documents indicating that, according to the higher specifications, the number of computers reduced from 12,700 to 3,000. But then, if you look at the so-called higher specifications, they are no different from the previous ones. And so we don't see any higher specifications, and we still think that they owe us 12,000.
All right, so Gakpo, how was the issue eventually concluded?
So what has become the controversial point is that RLG claims that even after they hadn't supplied the 12,000 laptops, government came to them requesting for some 3,000 laptops, and the specifications for that were actually higher than the earlier one.
Right.
So the earlier one, the 12,000, were supposed to distribute each of them at a cost of 500 cedis, and that's what amounted to the 12 million. So when they got that first request, they distributed 3,000, which they say each of them goes for 2,000 cedis. And so as far as they are concerned, that then covers up for all the 12,000 that government actually owed them. And it's on that basis that they say that they don't owe government any money. Professor Frimpong Martin says even the new laptops that they supplied were not up to the specifications, and so they still owe them money. The conclusion was that they were directed by the chairman of PAC to engage with RLG on what the payment term should be as far as the money is concerned. And James Kluchavage is advising that if they don't reach an agreement, he could report the matter to the Office of the Attorney General so that probably legal action could be instituted to recover the money from RLG.
Have we independently checked with RLG at all what they have to say about all of this?
Yes, so they were drawing our attention to those letters in question that actually went to the PAC, and their position remains as an institution as far as they are concerned. No amount is owed. We understand from the officials of RLG that yes, some level of engagement happened between Professor Frimpong Martin and then the chief executive of RLG, Roland Agambere. But again, they're insisting that those were not firm conclusions in terms of what the way forward should be. So they are standing by their position in the letters as indicated earlier that they owe government no money.
All right. Thank you very much. That was our parliamentary correspondent, Joseph Opoku.